Just an overview of what we did today for homeschool on Friday to end the week. Started with our daily calendar like we do every day. She used her sentence for each one to tell me what the month is, what the day is, what the weather is. We do that every day. Daily work binder, like usual. Every day we order the days of the week and the months of the year. She follows along on the song that I play for her on YouTube. Like I mentioned in my last video, for the numbers, we're going back and practicing 6 to 10. Not so much for the writing, because as you can see, she's pretty good now with printing them. It's more for the counting, because I find when she gets to the number 6 and beyond, she tends to be off by 1 in her count. So we're going back and practicing 6 to 10. She traces, writes on the line, then she'll trace the word 6 and we'll read it together. 6. And then she fills in the stars, and then I'll ask her. So today we had bears. So I'll say, Leila, can you show me 6 bears? And so she'll count 6 bears in the 10 frame and show me 6. I find when I do different colors like that to make it fun, she gets really distracted trying to order the colors in the colors of the rainbow. So I don't do that anymore. It's only one color because I don't want her to get distracted with all the different colors. For the worksheets today, from the Spectrum series books, we worked on the letter I. So what we're doing right now is printing within the lines. So she already knows how to write all her letters. We've been doing it since the beginning of homeschool. Now we're just working more on staying in the lines and, working on the formation of the letters, things like that. So she's doing really well, better than I thought she would. As you can see, she stays in the line. It's not perfect, but she's doing better than I expected she would. And then for the activity, find the I and circle it. On the back, and sorry, I know it bleeds through and it's hard to see. On the back, we had an ABC chart. So I just utilized it and we did sounds review. She's really good. She knows all her sounds. But I would just give her a random sound in a random order. So I would say, Leila, can you find B? And she would circle the B. Can you find And she would circle the R. Can you find G? And she would circle the G. And I would do it like that in random order, and she would circle the sound she hears. And she did great with it. Today we worked on the number 0 for the other worksheet, because I noticed the other day in math, she seemed to struggle with the concept that nothing means 0. So we started by, I asked her, Leila, how many apples are in this bowl? And she said 1. So then I looked at this one and I said, Leila, what number is this? And she said 0. I said, are there any apples in the bowl? And she said no. I said, okay, so there are 0 apples in the bowl. There are no apples in the bowl. So she traced and wrote. And then I asked her again, how many apples are in this bowl? She said 1. I said, how many apples are in this bowl? And I prompted her by pointing to the 0, and she said 0. And I reiterated, 0 means there are no apples in the bowl. And then I'll have to test her on that next week to see if she remembers it or not. And if not, we may have to keep working on the concept of 0. For math, another thing we did was these pattern strips. These pattern strips came with the Counting Bear set. I think I got mine on Amazon. So it was AABB pattern up here and then ABB patterns down here. I only put one in front of her at a time. So first we did this one. So I said, Leila, let's look at the pattern. Orange, orange, green, green. Orange, orange, green. What comes next? And she knew that it was a green. And she did really well with that. So then we did the next one. I said, Leila, let's look at this pattern. Red, blue, blue. Red, blue, blue. Red. And I said, what comes next? It's supposed to be blue, but she was going to put the red. So I think she just reversed it. Instead of 2 blues, she thought it was 2 reds. So then if I see she's struggling, then we go through it again, and this time I add in numbers. So I'll say, look, Leila, 1 red, 2 blue. 1 red, 2 blue. 1 red, and I said, what comes after red? And again, she was going to put the red, so I had to prompt her and say, no, look, after red, it's blue. So she struggled with that one for some reason a little bit more. I think what throws her off is that you're going from 1 to 2, whereas this one, it's consistent. So we may have to keep working on this one. I might revisit it next week again to review it. Then we played a snakes and ladders game. This also came with the bear counting set. It's double-sided, so you get some games with it. So this is snakes and ladders. That's what we played today. I put the dice inside this cup. The cups came with the set as well. And then we just shake and roll whatever number we got, we would move. So this is good. Again, it helps with counting, right? Because that's something I'm working on with her too. And also with games, following rules, following the directions, turn taking, sharing. These are all things we work on in speech therapy. And so games are a good opportunity to work on those social skills. She used to struggle with it before. She used to struggle a lot with taking turns and sharing and following the rules of the game. She would always try to do it her way. So like, for example, we know that like if you get to a ladder, you could go up the ladder, but she may not want to. She would just want to keep moving or something like that. So she used to struggle a lot with following rules and directions, and now she's doing much better. So playing games like this, it's great for the math because it helps with counting, but it's also good because it works on social skills like taking turns and sharing and listening to the directions and following the rules and things like that. So we played that game today. Plus it's Friday. It made it more of a fun end to the week. For our writing today, she wrote a birthday card for her baby cousin. I prepared it last night. I wrote his name. I folded the paper. I wrote the message on a separate piece of paper for her, and then she just copies it into the card, which she did here. Happy first birthday, love, Leila. And then she decorated it with a bunch of stickers. Normally for writing every day, we do our sight words activity book, and she writes a sentence, but today that was our writing activity. She wrote the card for her cousin. The last thing we did another animal scavenger hunt because I had more of the squishy animals that we hadn't used up yet. So I filled each of these plastic eggs with one animal. I scattered it around the living room and the kitchen. She brought it back to the table and we opened it one by one. So with these, we're using it for sentence building, language, and just encouraging communication on the iPad. So she would open one at a time, and so I would ask her, "What is it, Leila?" She would go here into her sight words, and she would say,
"It is a."
And we are working on like the pronouns right now. So like when we did community helpers, we did like he and she sentences for the pronouns. Now we're working on animals, so it is. So it is a, and then she would go here to her water animals folder.
Dolphin. It is a dolphin.
It is a dolphin, okay? And then the next one, she would open it, and I would ask her, what is it? This one is a cat. So, again, she would say, it
is a.
I have to make a pet folder. That's the only one I don't have yet.
Cat. It is a cat.
It is a cat.
It is a cat.
So it's here in the general land animals folder, but I have to make a specific pets folder. That's the only one missing. Okay, so then she opened all of them. She likes to line them up every time, so she would line them up. And I had her count. So I asked her, Leila, how many animals did you find today? And so they were all lined up, and I had her count them, and then she had to tell me in a sentence.
I found.
Then she goes to her keypad, the number pad.
9.
And she goes back to her animals. I have the animals word button. Oh, sorry, that was not it. Animals word button.
Animals. I found 9 animals.
I found 9 animals. It's like, good job, you did find 9 animals. And then we went through each one, and I asked her where each one lives, right? Because we're working on animals and habitats this month. So I would say, for example, where does the dolphin live? So she would go here to her water animals, and she would say,
Dolphin lives in water. Dolphin lives in water.
Dolphin does live in the water. And then with the cat, Same thing. I asked her, Leila, where does the cat live? And so she would say,
cat.
she goes here to habitats for this one.
Lives in house. Cat lives in house.
Now I had to work with her on this one a little bit because she tried saying, I think what she tried saying was cat lives in forest, which I understand because it's a land animal, so grass. But I had to teach her the concept that pets live in the house. So I said, like our dog Maverick, he's a dog. He lives in the house with us. So a cat is like a dog. They live in the house. And so then she finally got it after I explained it. And so that's what I use these for. We use it a lot for, I mean, it's fun because she loves scavenger hunts. So it's motivating for her. So it's just a motivating way to get her, to encourage her to use sentences on her iPad. You know, to encourage back and forth communication. What did she find? How many did she find? Things like that. So that's what we did pretty much for language today, was the scavenger hunt with sentence building and writing the card for writing sentences. And then math was the pattern review. Snakes and ladders game was to continue working on some social skills, turn taking, following rules, listening to directions. And then our daily work binder like usual. So that's it. That was our Friday. It was a lot of fun. I just thought I'd share.